What's up, everybody? Welcome to the Early Edge, brought to you by BetMGM, the sports book born in Vegas. What a Super Bowl. Different outcome than we thought as far as blowouts are concerned. We're going to talk about it with a couple of Eagles fans in a second, but let's take a look at the recap screen. This is a pretty big recap screen. It involves some Super Bowl picks, some picks from last week. Not the best set of days for us. 6-11-1. Notice my Eagles Chiefs play first half under 24. I actually gave that out at 24.5, but on SportsLine, it was 24. So I'm going to go with the pick that I had on SportsLine. It was a win maybe for some of you, but some of you, it was a push. My golf picks didn't come out on top. The Nick Taylor plus 280. I thought it was going to hit late. It didn't. Danny Brasco, good job from him all season in football, by the way. But these are some UFC picks. 3 out of 4. Listen, 6-11-1 is not where we want to be. We've had a good year so far, but 6-11, that's not good at all. So let's bring in the stars of the show and try to turn this thing around. Speaking of stars, we got Mike McClure in the chat. So say what's up to him. We've got Propstarz, we've got Buckets, we've got Mackenzie Brooks, we've got Fly Eagles Fly. And Mackenzie, I'm going to go to you first because you're doing the Eagle. Tell us about how you're feeling. Your Eagles winning the Super Bowl decisively.
I mean, I didn't draw it up that way, but I'm pretty happy with how that went out. Just seeing a big fat 0 next to the Chiefs for as long as we did was truly like comical. Defense rocked. The dogs also rocked that are on the Eagles. Cooper DeJean pick 6 on his birthday. Like, they make movies about that stuff, Sia. I mean, this felt like the Georgia Bulldogs' second national championship run, 65-7 against TCU. Makes sense that it felt very similar because half the team is now on the Philadelphia Eagles. So can't ask for more from me. And we had a great betting day. We hit the team total over for the Eagles. We hit the Saquon receptions. I almost gave out Saquon to lead the game in receptions at 55-1. Fell too shy to Xavier Worthy. Overall, great day.
Yeah, nice day for Xavier Worthy. I know I talked a lot about him. I talked about a lot of Jalen Hurts MVP at plus 350. And while that wasn't an official pick in terms of a pick on SportsLine, I do know a lot of you tweeted at me. A lot of you were on that. Propstarz, Jalen Hurts was really good. And the Chiefs' game plan was to make Jalen Hurts be good and not let Saquon Barkley beat the Kansas City Chiefs. Your reaction to yesterday's decisive Super Bowl win?
Obviously, incredibly impressive performance, against Patrick Mahomes and company. I do think the Chiefs were a little overrated headed into this game. I know hindsight's 2020. Obviously, it's easy to sit here and say that, but if we look at the Chiefs' season, they were in a lot of close games. A lot of things went their way, whether it be, interceptions in key moments, fumbles. So I think this Chiefs team got exposed a little bit. This Eagles roster from top to bottom was exceptional. I think the Chiefs got outplayed basically everywhere. So credit to this Eagles organization. They put together a tremendous roster, top to bottom. Jeffrey Lurie, the owner of the Eagles, since he took over, I believe, 1994, 2 Super Bowls, 4 NFC championships, 11 NFC East titles, 19 playoff berths. Jeffrey Lurie does not get enough credit when talking about the great owners in the NFL. So lots of credit to go around as far as the organization is concerned, from top to bottom, as good as any in football. So just wanted to shout out the great Jeffrey Lurie.
Speaking of underrated, Buckets, we're going to get to you because your NFL picks are very underrated. But Farzad says Mahomes' feet were never set all game. I mean, we're going to look back at this Super Bowl and we're going to say, hey, Jalen Hurts had a great game, which of course he did. We're going to say Saquon Barkley was just kind of okay. Devontae Smith stepped up when he needed to. So did A.J. Brown and some others. Cooper DeJean, for example. Shout out Mackenzie Brooks, because I'm pretty sure when I was on CBS Sports Network with you, you had a few interception props, and Cooper DeJean was one of them. But that defensive line is what really rocked the Kansas City Chiefs. And they absolutely, speaking of putting a good team together, Jalen Carter slipping to almost the 10th pick and the Eagles scooping him up. They have Brandon Graham being back. That defensive line pretty much won the game for the Eagles before the game even started. Like, that matchup was a complete joke, and everything kind of fell into place for the Eagles after that because Mahomes was running for his life. I've never seen anything like it. Okay, so that's underrated there. Buckets, your INT props on the season. Now, you were flipping coins pretty much the whole time. Do you happen to know, because you hit Mahomes' interception prop as well pretty early, do you happen to know your record, or I should say the coins record on INT props for this NFL season?
See, I actually do, but I just want to say real quick that it's very tough being in a household. And in my household where I live alone, I'm the third best capper in my apartment. I am beaten by a coin, and I'm consistently beaten by a dog. The coin was flipped 22 times during this NFL season, with the final flip being on Patrick Mahomes in the Super Bowl. Out of those 22 bets the coin produced, it hit 18 times. See, an 80% clip throughout the NFL season, simply flipping a coin and saying heads, I go for this quarterback, tails, I go for this one. The sports betting's kind of funny sometimes. That's all I have to say about that.
That is an amazing record. The coin is a better capper, not just than all of us on the early edge, but like every capper in the universe. The coin, at least when it pertains to INT props, came out on top. That's pretty impressive. Mackenzie and Proppy, before we get to Bucket's first set of picks here, people are reacting to the look, the sunglasses, the fatigue. Were we out late last night celebrating? We don't have to talk about beverages or anything like that. I mean, just you were up late, just kind of enjoying, just immersing yourself in what was an incredible victory. Mackenzie, you start. Any reaction to the comments in the chat? Shades and all?
Yeah. Late night. I might have jumped in a pool, might have not. That's not up to me to tell everybody.
That's great. Propstarz, your reaction.
I'm located in parts unknown, which is a different time zone. So it's early here, even when the Eagles have not won the Super Bowl the previous evening. So we're up and ready. We're feeling good. We got a little bit of rest, and yeah, let's roll.
KC3 says Club Ken's was popping. Okay, that's a cool name. Maybe that's already been articulated. Club Ken's is super cool. By the way, you mentioned jumping in the pool.
That's my cover 3 alter ego when I make my cover 3 special appearances. It's okay. See, I'll forgive you. Probably.
That's on me. By the way, I'm jealous that you were able to jump into a pool. I will be down in the CBS Sports studios next week doing some shows from there. So I'll get to jump in a pool maybe myself. I'll be there in just over a week for a handful of days. So I'm looking forward to that. Okay, you all are probably looking forward to some picks. So Buckets, you closed on Friday. You're going to lead us off on Monday.
See, I am feeling well rested. I am feeling rejuvenated. I was in bed by 8 p.m. Eastern. I got a full 8 hours. I am feeling good this morning. I'm excited to bring everyone my equivalent of the Super Bowl, the Turkish Super League matchup between Bodrum Belediyesi taking on Göztepe. I know we're all very excited. 2 giants of the Turkish Super League battling it out this afternoon at noon Eastern. I am going with the classic, and this should shock absolutely no one. Both teams to score at this one, currently priced at -110. Göztepe is the much better, aggressively better side. This is like Göztepe are the Eagles and Bodrum are the Chiefs. See, I know NFL too. Pretty impressive, I know. But the problem with Göztepe is that they have not kept a clean sheet the entire season in league play when playing on the road. Do not overthink this one. It doesn't matter how good or bad you are. Anyone can score on Göztepe on the road. Second bet, we are going to Serie A in a big clash between Inter Milan and Fiorentina. Now, this is a weird one because these two teams literally just played a couple days ago, and Fiorentina absolutely smacked them 3-0. Shout out my boy Chip Patterson here. However, Inter Milan needs to bounce back, and they need to do it immediately. There's a very tight race for the Scudetto right now in Serie A. I'm expecting Inter Milan to be out for blood after being embarrassed by Fiorentina a few days ago. However, Fiorentina have won 3 in a row now. They're scoring goals offensively. They're looking really good here. I'm taking BTTS again at this one at -110. Third and final play, we're going to France Ligue 2, the second flight of French soccer, in a matchup between Caen and Dunkirk. Dunkirk, again, the much better side here. But more importantly than that, Caen are really, really bad offensively. I'm going with Dunkirk to be the first team to score at -105. And considering Caen have only scored once in their last 4 games, they might not score at all at this one. So we don't really have to worry about that, Sia.
All right. You know what I do have to worry about? Some negativity in the chat. James, Jam Easy. I appreciate the compliment on Propstarz and Mike McClure, but I think we're all pretty good. By the way, I'm up plus 20 units on the football season. If that is good, then there's more compliments to go around there. But let's transition into Propstarz. Propstarz, James, Jam Easy Cummins is really looking forward to your pick amidst all his negativity. Maybe some positivity for him right here. You've got a basketball pick.
I do. One that I absolutely love as well, ladies and gentlemen. So, yeah, I'm looking to Paolo Banchero, the reigning Rookie of the Year. We're going to go over his points, which is 22.5 points facing the Atlanta Hawks tonight. Paolo got off to a great start this season. He looked like he was ready to make a significant leap from an all-star caliber player to potentially an all-NBA selection. Then he got injured, missed a chunk of time, has been back. Since he's been back, he's been not quite as good as he was, particularly in the month of February. He's averaging just 17 points per game, but I've watched Paolo. He looks fine to me. I think it's only a matter of time until he explodes, and I think tonight looks like a prime spot for him against the Hawks, who play almost no defense, particularly bad against opposing forwards as well. They give up more points to small forwards and power forwards than any team in the league this season. We're getting a bit of a discount as well. This looks like a spot where Paolo could go for 30 plus. The Magic have been struggling as well. Time for Paolo to put the team on his back here. I also like laddering him, so I'll be playing some of his alt lines as well. But love Paolo tonight. I think he has a very big game scoring.
All right. Paolo Banchero over 22.5 points. And I think you can still get that line, by the way. Usually when I think the juice is maybe at some places like minus 125, but I think you can still get it at 22.5. So get that now before, it goes up even more, maybe up to 23.5, which Propstarz, I don't know that it will, but in case later on somebody's listening to the podcast and it's up to 23.5 at, like, let's say minus 105, for example, is that something you'd look at?
Very comfortable with it. Yeah, I like this as a 1.5 unit play. At 23.5, it's still a full unit play for me.
All right. Fresno State plus 15.5. That is going to be our SportsLine pick. Again, Fresno State plus 15.5. We've got actually two cappers. If you're a member of SportsLine, you'll see that it's not just JLC on this one. I believe Bruce Marshall might be on this one as well. So we like Fresno State. They're huge dogs, but we like them to cover 15 points. 15.5 is the number. All right, ladies and gentlemen, if you want to make that bet, or if you want to make any of these bets, because Mackenzie's got some, I've got one that'll probably surprise you because I'm going to college basketball. You can do it at BetMGM. And if for some reason you're not a SportsLine member, we've got a great promotion for you. If you haven't signed up for BetMGM yet, sign up now and you will get up to a $1,500 first bet offer on your first wager with BetMGM, plus a 1-year free subscription to SportsLine with bonus code SportsLine1500. Get exclusive members only picks for all major sports from proven models and 40 plus Vegas experts, plus predictive tools for pick'em, brackets, player stats, and more. Get this offer in 4 easy steps. Download the BetMGM Sports app and register an account using bonus code SportsLine1500. Make your first deposit of at least $10. Place your first wager and receive up to $1,500 back in bonus bets if the bet loses, and claim your free 1-year subscription to SportsLine in your BetMGM inbox. That's a good deal. Ladies and gentlemen, we've got to deal with Mackenzie Brooks' picks. We got to deal with my pick. We're going to do it right after this message from our partners.
Gives it to Jenkins for the championship. A 16 beats a 1. From sweet to elite to the Final Four.
All right, we're back on the early edge, brought to you by BetMGM. I see James is now like a kind of apologizing. You no need to apologize. I did want to set the record straight, though. Listen, we're coming off a bad day. 6-11 is not where we want to be. Thank you for saying that you love me, James. But truth is, we're going to have some peaks and valleys. It turns out, a lot of us had peaks in the NFL season, valleys as well. But I figured I'd just put my record out there since I had a pretty great NFL season. Could have been better, but we'll take plus 20 units pretty much every time. I'd rather it be 30 or 40. But the point is, I was actually bad in golf last weekend. So I merit some criticism as well. I'm going to try to rebound at the Genesis Invitational this week. But tonight, I'm going with college basketball. And you guys don't normally see college basketball from me. Although in years past, I have, especially when we get towards March Madness, I do kind of hone in on college basketball. But I'm seeing a narrative about this Clemson-North Carolina game that it's a letdown spot for Clemson after that huge win against Duke. And of course, I agree. It's absolutely a letdown spot for Clemson. The thing is Clemson's just way better than North Carolina. North Carolina has struggled this entire season. They haven't covered the spread really at all. I mean, they're one of the worst teams against the spread, I'm sure, in the ACC. They're barely beating bad teams. They're coming off a win Saturday too. It was a close game, but not a letdown spot for them because it was just Pittsburgh, but they needed some really good 2-point and 3-point shooting to knock out Pittsburgh, a team they lost to 3 games ago. So long story short, I know it's a big game for North Carolina, probably a bigger game for them than Clemson because Clemson's playing pretty well. I just don't think North Carolina is a very good team. I don't think their 3-point shooting is going to stay hot. They don't shoot a lot of threes, but over the last 2 games, it's been pretty hot. I think Clemson's going to turn North Carolina over plenty. I think they're going to score, and I just think they're the better team on offense and defense. They're getting North Carolina at home, and yes, it's a letdown spot. Totally get it, but I do think they pull away from North Carolina at home in this one. So I'll go ahead and lay the 5.5 points. Now we transition from college, Mackenzie Brooks, to the National Basketball Association, and you've got a couple of props on some players that are on new teams. And when I say some players, I'm talking about some superstar players. So I guess get us started with either Jimmy Butler or Luka. Your choice.
Yeah. We got the new kids on the block special here. I wouldn't necessarily parlay them together, but 2 plays I think are worth looking at with the lines we're getting. See, I think it was earlier last week that you asked me about, once we get Luka lines, are you leaning more towards overs or unders? And I said for points wise, if they're setting it around as typical, I'd go with the unders. But as far as assists, if they doink him in the assist category, I would take those overs. So typically he's around 7.5, 8.5 peak Luka. We saw 6.5 as the opening assist line for him. So I got that on the site at BetMGM as well. You can still get 6.5. You're seeing that start to steam back up to his normal 7.5. And I think the logic makes sense to me. Like, this is a guy, he's not going to try to just be the star in his debut, right? If he's a smart guy, he knows that his Lakers teammates are shooting, over 40% from deep, and he can rack up some assists, giving the ball to guys like LeBron James, if you've heard of him, Austin Reeves, some of these guys who are playing really well. And while Jackson Hayes is not Mark Williams, RIP, it's still a great big guy that you can lob the ball to. And that's exactly what Luka loves to have, a very large center to work with. So again, I think maybe the points, I saw someone thinking about Luka unders in the chat. I'm over that, except the assists. I think you can still get it at 6.5. I certainly would. We'll move over to the other superstar on a new team here with Jimmy Butler. I like him to go over his rebounds and assists. Very similar logic here, right? I don't think he's coming out trying to put up 50 points on anybody. I think he wants to be a good teammate. I think he wants to move the ball around and play solid defense as well. I understand rebounding isn't the number one part of his game, but that will come just with, trying on defense, which is something we like to see in the NBA nowadays. And there's no Giannis, so the Warriors should just in general have the rebounding advantage here. So again, without Giannis, I think rebounds for the Warriors are in store, and I like him to pick up a couple along with some assists.
Yeah, very interesting plays here. Buckets, I want to get to some soccer picks, but I should say some stuff in the chat regarding soccer if there is anything. But I did want to give Darian Mercurio a shout out. He says, out here delivering the mail. Shout out to all the mailmen and mail women. I guess are we saying mailmen and mail women? I don't know if there's a universal term there, but I'll just go ahead and throw that out there just in case. But that's pretty cool that you're out there delivering the mail and listening to us. Very much appreciate that. We've got Matthew Abel talking about, man, he's in all caps here. So maybe I'll read that one later, but it looks like he hit something pretty great. So love to see that. Buckets, anything soccer-wise in the chat to catch us up on?
No, not really, Thea.
All right. Propstarz, do you happen to be looking at the chat? I'm looking for NBA questions for you or Mackenzie. I don't see a ton here. Anything Propstarz for you to react to?
I get easily distracted, so I am not looking at the chat. But shout out to the chat. I love the chat. And go Birds.
Go Birds. Let's see. Do you like Jokic triple-double plus 100? Scott Y says. Do we like that, Propstarz? Any thoughts on Jokic triple-double?
It's easy to sell me on a Jokic triple-double. Can you remind me who Denver's playing tonight?
I was hoping you would know the answer to that question, but I will take a look. And while we're looking at that, how about Mackenzie, LeBron?
Portland Trailblazers.
Oh, see, Buckets just covers everything at this point. Portland Trailblazers, Proppy.
Against the Trailblazers? No, I don't like it.
All right. Mackenzie, any thoughts on LeBron over 7.5 assists?
Ooh, let's see. We have him projected for 7.7. So if you're getting close to plus money on it, I'd probably support it. But I just think the assists will be coming from Luka to LeBron tonight.
Okay, Lakers at home against the Jazz there. All right, let's see. Buckets, thoughts on Lautaro Martinez over 3.5 shots or to score plus assist?
I would rather take him to score or assist than I would over 3.5 shots, just because with players like Marcus Thuram, sometimes Lautaro is not going to be our all-star in this matchup. And he is a really good creative player as well that can pass the ball off when needed. So I do love the 2 score or assist line, as long as it's like minus 110 or better.
All right. And we've got David, let's see, Nakukar saying letter carrier. Okay. Instead of mailman or mailwoman, letter carrier. That makes a lot of sense. Very neutral there. J Real says Bobby Portis over 19.5 points and assists is even money. That looks like a play that he likes. And J Real also says Jordan Clarkson over 2.5 threes at minus 105. And then finally, Donovan Mitchell over 4.5 assists at minus 110. A lot of plays from J Real. A lot of plays from everybody in here. Ray Garcia, minus 140 LeBron assists. Oh, okay. So that's not like the best number on that assist prop then. All right. Well, thanks for clearing that up, Ray Garcia. Let's get to our recap screen before we get you out of here. A lot of interesting picks today, particularly mine. I'm doing college basketball tonight. I think this one starts at 7 o'clock. Clemson at home against North Carolina. I'm laying the points. Clemson minus 5.5. We've got Jimmy Butler over 10.5 rebounds and assists from Mackenzie Brooks, and Luka over 6.5 assists at minus 160. Paolo Banchero over 22.5 points at minus 120. That's from Propstarz. And let's see. Oh no, buckets. You're doing this one. What are your 3 picks?
We've got Bodrum Belladiesi taking on Göztepe, both teams to score. Inter Milan versus Fiorentina, both teams to score. And Caen versus Dunkirk. Dunkirk to score first in France League 2.
All right. That was way better than if I had done it. What a great show. We had, okay, closing thoughts before we actually really close the show. Mackenzie Brooks, Philadelphia Eagles, do they repeat next year?
Oh, see ya. Let me soak in this for right now. We can't even think about that.
Propstarz, we going back to back? I'm going to let you soak for a second. Propstarz, are we going back to back?
They're going to bring back the core nucleus of the roster. The Eagles have done a tremendous job of locking up the talent on this roster. Tons of young emerging talent. I think the Eagles will be as well positioned as any team. Repeating in the NFL is incredibly difficult, as we know. Credit to the Chiefs, obviously, for coming out, having won 2 in a row. So I think the Eagles will be in the mix, but repeating is so hard in the NFL. So much has to go right. You have to stay healthy at your key positions. So I think the Eagles are set up nicely, but obviously I would take the field.
Mackenzie, there's 4 teams in the top 4. Eagles are number 1, and it's 3 AFC teams behind them. Detroit is next. I'll give you a chance to answer the question again if you so choose.
What I've thought about is Cooper DeJean and Quinyon Mitchell are not getting worse next year.
Yeah.
And that gives me a lot of peace. It's literally a bet on to Saquon Barkley stay healthy, truthfully, in all seriousness to me.
Yeah. By the way, my Washington Commanders are 7th in line, right behind the Lions, Niners, and Commanders at plus 1,800. Wanted to throw that out there. And the Bengals plus 2,000, I think, is interesting. Buckets, go ahead.
Where are my Vikings at in that?
Your Vikings are 40-1. They're right in the middle of the pack.
Hell yeah. No, that's happening.
Okay, go ahead, Propstarz.
A shout out to Kevin O'Connell for winning Coach of the Year. Very well deserved. Did an absolutely tremendous job coaching the Vikings this season. So just wanted to shout out the great Minnesota head coach.
Healthiest team will win, says Eric David. That's normally true. By the way, those Coach of the Year awards, they don't matter. You know how I know that? Dan Quinn was 5th. Dan Quinn was 5th in Coach of the Year. Washington went to the NFC Championship. Were 4-13 last year and have been bad for 30 straight years. And Dan Quinn is 5th in the Coach of the Year. Those awards do not matter. Do not respect them. I respect this show. I respect Buckets. I respect Propstarz. I respect Mackenzie Brooks and the Eagles. Got to respect them. And every single person in the chat, Jason, Farzad, Eric, Tyler Graham is in here, KC3, Scott Y, Brian M. Thank you all for being in here. Brian Smith, Ramo, David, all the letter carriers out there as well. Let's we already took a look at the recap screen, I believe. And don't forget, the SportsLine pick was, there we go. Fresno State, Ben is on it. Fresno State plus 15.5 is the SportsLine pick. We have 2 cappers on that one, by the way. What a great show. Thanks for being in here. It was a great Monday. Let's make it a great Tuesday tomorrow. Hope you can join us. Hopefully you've hit the like button. Thanks for all the participation. My name is Nejad. I'm the Counselor of Cash. And on behalf of everybody, including Ben, we rest our case.